Hey guys, so it's time again to check out what's new and really strong over in Korea so far in 7.19, the new patch that just dropped. There are a lot more changes this time around. We had quite a few reworks and stuff, and we've got a lot of things that we can look at. So first up, the biggest question so far this patch in emails, tweets, even Instagram DMs, what do we build on a Vayne now after her Q changes? So nobody really knows yet. We're testing loads of different stuff, but Korea's answer is BF Sword into Shiv, Phantom Dancer, and then turning that BF Sword normally into a Mercurial Scimitar or an Infinity Edge. Blade First is also back now, more with a Shiv afterwards and the Phantom Dancer after that. So really like less priority on Infinity Edge quickly and more on attack speed. One thing though, her win rate overall has dropped a bit this patch, even though more people are playing her again and a lot of people who are bad with Vayne play Vayne. So that's probably partly why. Anyway, now into our new ones. There's no Veigar, no Xin Zhao here after the reworks, but Azir actually is. It looked like the smallest change, but even at lower ranks, he's doing pretty decently. Over there, it's a bit different because everyone is obsessed with mid lane Lucian after good old Faker whipped it out. At the moment, he is really good versus Lucian and assassins like Talon especially, but also other mages are much easier. So Orianna, LeBlanc, Ahri, Syndra, they're all getting crushed by Azir. It seems like he was kind of overbuffed a little bit, just a little bit with these changes. He now has a really good mid game, which is where mid laners are probably the most important in this meta. If you're going to play him, the mini guide, the Korean way, I guess, the build is Nashor's, Rylai's, and Void Staff mostly. You can slot in a Morellonomicon and a Rod of Ages early if you want to, but then things like Liandry's and Banshees are also decent. Thunderlord's is the keystone, and Korea's new favorite mid lane rune page is Magic Pen Reds, 3 Magic Resist Blues, 6 CDR per level, 9 health per level yellows, and 3 AP Quints, which is a really good mid game rune set. We're going to see him a lot more now, I think, actually. He seems to be like a really good counter to the general meta, to the popular picks and stuff, and considering he's normally quite hard to play, having a good win rate spike up is actually a really good sign. It's also a good sign though that his rework was a massive buff. He's easier to play, more consistent, mid game is insane, and as a control mage, you can actually really dominate the game from pretty far away now. So weirdly enough, there was actually a pretty big AD carry shakeup in Korea. Every win rate dropped. It seems like AD carries just aren't performing as well now in general, which doesn't really make much sense with how good they should be. Xayah though has sprung up now out of this. So Tristana, Twitch, Vayne, that all dropping a little bit means there's more room for others to come up and show a bit better. It's a lot more even, I guess, with who you're going to pick and stuff. That's what it seems like, but Xayah has been popular for ages there. The second most played AD carry the last few patches. She's kind of like the Lee Sin of AD carry, if that makes sense. Fun to play, quite a lot to master, a bit different, a bit weird, and able to carry really hard and make some plays. Matchup wise, it's pretty even with other ADs. You don't have a massive advantage over any real matchups, but if you're a good Xayah, you can show it, if that makes sense. The only one she loses heavily to is Draven. So mini guide then, build Essence Reaver into Rapid Fire Cannon is the Korean way of doing things, but normally they go double attack speed items actually and get a Shiv afterwards as well, not straight into an Infinity Edge third like we normally do. That does give us more feathers though, which kind of makes sense. Runes and masteries, Warlords for the keystone, which scales with crit, so it makes sense, and standard runes as well. You max your E, W, and then Q. Xayah's big game is probably actually the weakest area for her, weirdly. She's got a very good early game, right? The root can set up a lot, plus has good damage, good burst, then a little dip until she gets some more items and takes over late game again. The 20% bonus damage on a W with the extra attack speed is really, really good late game. The feathers give you loads of AoE damage you don't even think about, and you're so safe with your ultimate. So third one, Gangplank is popping up a lot more in 7.19 so far and actually winning a ton of games, but not with a full crit damage build like we're used to. Korean GP players build such weird things, I swear. Ghostblade is always first, that's kind of normal, but then Sterix normally second. It's like a Bruiser Gangplank, relying on Arm Pen and his base damage, a tanky late game carry. How fun is that gonna be? Dustblade also slots in sometimes though. Lethality means more consistent barrel damage. Last Whisper is normally quite early though. Even Titanic Hydra and Deadman, it's like a tank Gangplank some games. We don't really see many Trinity Force, I guess is the big thing. It seems like more than anything, they build for mid-game power, not this late-game hold on for 6 items, and that is why he's come back a bit more. A lot of this will be also because Fiora is the most popular champion over there again, and GP should win that matchup. Also, he's very good versus tanks with his Arm Pen and stuff, and if a game goes really late, he is obviously insane. Build is really weird. I'm going to try and sum this up as best I can, but Ghostblade first, then either Sterix, Mormon Mortius, or Dustblade are normally the choices. Guardian Angel and Last Whisper tend to be third, and then it's stuff like Infinity Edge and stuff after that. Runes and Masteries, Thunderlords, normal AD runes, so at least that is standard. They do take TP though as well, by the way. I know a lot do, but some take Exhaust, not really in Korea. The main reason I put this in the video is actually because of how different the build is and the playstyle is. A mid-game, hard-to-kill Bruiser GP is actually seriously scary, and most people will not expect it at all. Give this like lethality and Sterix a try and see what you think. It's definitely though a good carry pick and one that is really good in this meta. When AD carries and mid laners are so important, right, and you can one-shot them with a barrel chain from your backline, that is like game changing. So if we look at support, last patch we saw Turret coming up, and by the way, he is still seriously good in this meta at the moment. But onto a different one, Vel'Koz support. Seems like a new kind of Korean pocket pick, especially against Rakan. This is not that great versus Janna and Soraka because of the shields and heals, but if you think about it, those are normally always banned in that game, so that's kind of why it still works. You have this constant poke in lane, awesome burst damage as well, really high range, but a lot of this is also the AoE damage for early to mid game kind of skirmish fights. This is obviously a carry pick support, but an early to mid game one, so don't really sit back and go late game. If you want to do that, you might as well just pick a sensor. This is about that kind of 1, 2, 3 item spike and just dealing way more damage than people can handle. So build Eye of the Watchers, Liandry's, then you can pick like Rylai's, Ludens, even Morello sometimes as well, Void Staff. Keystone is Sunlords and full AP runes, even AP in your blues. No messing about in Korea, of course. You might not get the golden income to scale into late game, right? But you definitely have enough damage early to get work done. So that is what your job is. He is really good at shutting down engaged supports who want to walk up towards him like with his E and stuff. So with his poke as well, can do a ton of damage. It's not something you expect because like heals and shields are really good against him. When they are banned, he can do a lot more than you think, and that is really when you want to pick him. So moving back onto AD carry, Varus is the other one to come back up a bit more out of this kind of shake up to a point where he's actually really good. It's kind of a newish build. No more crit really, like Rage Blade first, just full attack speed and on hit damage. Partly this is because of the sensor change. More attack speed this patch, more on hit damage, which applies with Rage Blade and Runins on all 3 bolster members. So it's really good synergy. It's also how much setup and playmaking you have like to use that damage, right? Your ultimate is so good when we have a lot of attention bot lane. If you think about it, there are lots of ganks bot lane and lots of roaming. Sometimes it's hard to be useful as an AD carry with no items, but your ultimate actually guarantees you will help turn the fight at least a little bit into your favor. Most matchups are even at the moment and come down to skill, but Vayne is a little bit easier just because one, she's probably a bit weaker this patch, and you can ult to start a fight and there's not much for her to do afterwards. So as we said, it's mostly Rage Blade, Runins, and Blade the Rune King as your core. Sometimes you'll go Blade first if you want a bit more early pressure. Wit's End is also really good in this build. Phantom Dancer, maybe an Infinity Edge to finish. There is a real split between keystones though, Warlords and Fervor. Now I prefer Fervor with this sort of attack speed build on Varus. It's kind of up to you though. One thing to keep in mind is that Varus is not as good late game as he used to be. Crit champions tend to outrange and outburst with their big crits, so try and get a good lead and use ultimates before 35 minutes to actually snowball. It is a bit different. He's not always that popular, but actually he's very good right now with Sensor and can be like a kind of an Ashe, right? Damage, but also set up for your team. He helps them carry harder. So moving on to our next one, Vlad is a really popular champion mid lane at the moment in Korea, but he's actually a lot better top lane after this patch, which is where we're going to focus. If he gets ahead, I don't think anybody is worse to play against. This guy will dive you over and over until you lose or you rage quit. His damage is insane right now, but he's also a very good counter to AD carries, really. It's difficult to fight and deal with him with his pull and his like slows and stuff, but it's easy for him to get on top of you with his combo. Vlad is really good late game. He does just keep getting better and better as the game goes on, but if he gets ahead, it's that kind of like not being able to stop him that snowballs it out of control. Those are the 2 ways you can win. Top lane matchups are pretty even. You're good versus Jason Jackson normally, good versus the new Xin as well if you see him, but not amazing versus like a Fiora or a Yasuo who kind of outscale. Mini guide time, Proto Belt into Liandry's and Void Staff normally. That is the typical AD carry or mid lane carry killer. If you haven't got any magic resist items, you haven't bought any magic resist yet, that item combo means you are going to get destroyed. Runes and Masteries are standard. Storm Raiders, nothing special about runes. Boots, normally Lucidity or Sword Boots, but kind of a funny random fact is that whenever Vlad gets more popular and wins more over there, his ban rate spikes up massively. People over there hate playing versus Vlad when he gets strong in the meta. I can't really blame them. You've got this snowball monster who can just get out of control, but has the backup of being so good late game. He's really strong versus low health, low magic resist champions, and that is perfect for this meta. Now rounding out this video then, a bit more of a fun one. Not sure how legit she will stay, but who knows. Katarina normally floats around the top 5 to top 10 win rate every patch over there. A good cat is crazy strong. Now especially this patch as well, when she gets an early lead, if you don't shut her down, she can get like a few kills and stuff. She takes off just a little bit. By just a little bit, I'm talking about the best early game mid laner you can actually play. Over a 62% win rate if a game ends with Katarina in it before 25 minutes. She's normally going to be the one winning. A 62% win rate at a phase of the game is absolutely insane. She's just a snowball monster and one of the few who actually goes even with Twisted Fate right now. If you follow Korea at all or these videos and stuff, you know that they have a major hard-on for him over there at the moment and he's insanely good. So mini guide then, Gunblade into Liandry's, and again, that's like if you don't have magic resist, you are completely dead combo. Void Staff afterwards, Banshees, Medjay's, games are normally done by that point either way, really. You're either going to win early or kind of struggle. It's definitely one that becomes pretty hard to play in this meta if you don't get ahead, because there is Locket, there's shields, heals, redemption, sensor, Knight's Vow. All of that stuff sucks to play against when you want to burst people. There's also a lot more crowd control that can shut you down as well, but we do have standard masteries and runes. Normally, like, you start with either a Dark Seal or a Doran Shield, by the way. I think this is one of the hardest carry mids you can play at the moment, who is amazing at getting ahead early and ending a game. If you love to just like kind of win your lane hard and win from that quite quickly, then Katarina is perfect at the moment. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to stick around on the channel and subscribe. But thank you for watching, and for now, I'll leave you with the robots.